Liftoff of mission 41B, first flight of the orbiter Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower.
Shuttle has left the tower. Hey, what's going on, you guys? Bret here. Cory in the studio. What's
Hi
going
there.
on? How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thanks for coming in. Also, want to welcome online, Facebook online,
Facebook
Live online. Welcome you guys as well. Tripp, what's going on? How you doing, man?
Hanging in there, man. It's been a great but long week.
Great, but long. How's your week been, Cory?
Great but long also, yeah. It's been nice weather though, so you can't really beat that.
It's been perfect.
Yeah.
Any snow, any cold in the forecast at all?
Nothing.
Sunday, I thought. Sunday, I think it's supposed to snow like late at night. At least
No.
by me,
Okay.
in the foothills, yeah, so.
Okay, yeah, you were just saying you're by your Lookout Mountain?
Lookout Mountain, yeah, right there in Golden, yeah, so.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. That must just be incredible.
It's nice, yesterday I took the dog out and just a random trail nearby, ended up going up to this little plateau. It just had the best view of like Denver and everything. So it's kind of cool little hidden gems everywhere around there.
That's incredible, man. And you said you're a native Coloradan. You born in Denver? Where were you born?
False. Little lie there. I was born in California. I was born on a naval base there. My dad was in the Navy, so I was born in San Diego. But I came out here. I think I was like 3 years old. So I call myself a native.
Nice. That's native.
Yeah, it's been.
That's 100%.
30 years. So yeah, I think.
I think you could have the bumper sticker.
Yeah, right. On the Subaru, yeah, I could fit right in.
What'd your dad do in the Navy?
He did just kind of general stuff. Yeah.
Okay. You weren't in the military, were you?
I was not. No. Good friend of mine who was like a brother went into the military, went into the Army, and my sister, my actual blood sister, is currently in the Army in the reserves. She actually just got back from Germany a few months back and is going out to Texas here soon. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How many siblings do you have?
2. So I have 2 sisters. Nice. 2 sisters. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Tripp, anything you want to shout out before we get rolling here? New countries or? Thanks again. I want to say thanks to listeners for joining in. We've been on a roll lately. I think we're episode 10 now of season 3, so we're just crushing them out. We've had new listeners join every week. I know we've always had new countries joining the fold, new sponsors as well, and so a lot of exciting things. Anything else you want to add?
We are getting quite many downloads from the Philippines and Japan.
There we go.
Wow.
So I want to thank you guys way out east out there supporting this podcast. It means the world to Bret and I. And yeah, we've got some crazy big announcements coming later this podcast. And man, I don't know if I attached this to the last podcast, but for those of you guys that don't know, Bret and I were on the news last week. They did a small segment on the senior boxing classes that we do here in the Denver area. So make sure you guys go down and click and check out that little news segment. It was a really nice job Colin did on Denver 7. So
Love it. Nice. Yeah, so I'm super excited to have you on a couple of reasons. Number one, you're an entrepreneur. 2 years? This has been
2 years.
Fairly real. Yeah. How's it been so far? Obviously, you've seen great success. You're the owner of co-owner of Above and Beyond Senior Living. I want to get into that in a little bit. Just in general terms, being an entrepreneur, how's it been for you?
It's a journey, it's a challenge, but it's probably one of the most fulfilling and just motivating things I think I've ever done, to be honest with you. Kind of just fell into the whole, jobs of, day in, day out monotony type thing. And then since doing this, it's just completely different. Like I feel like a different person, since doing this. Not to say it's not without its struggles, obviously, right? But it's a crazy feeling, that I didn't expect to have when I started this. You don't know what to expect when you start. You hope it works out, and but then you just put in the time and effort and keep going, and the results kind of start to come, and it's an awesome feeling. So it's great. It's great. Yeah.
Can you tell me about the start of this all? Because you said that you had done other maybe corporate, quote unquote, corporate jobs, or 9-to-5 jobs, we'll call them. What started all this? Was it a conversation? Was it you had been kicking around the idea?
Yeah. I mean, COVID. I'll say that's a one-word answer, COVID. So at the time, I was a executive director and administrator in a memory care community here in Colorado. And so basically that's just overseeing everything, that you're kind of the tip of the spear, so to speak, minus your corporate office. And when COVID happened, it just came in and everything changed, overnight for everybody, but especially when you work with seniors. Apart from the vaccine requirements, everybody was mandated to get the vaccine, put a mask on, and we were working crazy hours. Staff was going out the door. So kind of COVID really kind of hit that. And then at the time, the company I was working with was kind of very passive on their response, I guess you could say, and not really preparing for the long-term game, I guess. So in my mind, I'm like, well, I need to prepare for the long-term game because I'm not doing this the rest of my life. It was pretty bad. So originally, we talked about my two other partners, Michelle and Deanna. We had talked about opening a group home, like a little small, you buy a house, have 6 people, whatever. And then only problem with that is you're still kind of regulated, at that point. So
right.
Yeah, you're dealing with tons of regulations, and that was probably scary during COVID to see how much oversight there was.
Yeah, and they were writing them, walking into, the legislative office, they're writing new things down. Okay, you must do this, this, and this. And so it was, for a while there, just every day something different, as far as regulations and things like that. Mm-hmm. Testing, some of these places I worked, they were 150 plus people, and you got to test every single one of them twice a week, plus your staff. And, you're just running around half the day sticking a swab in somebody's nose. So,
Yeah.
Definitely that was a huge part of kind of what geared this. And then really actually around this time, my partner Michelle had gotten a referral from another company for the company we worked with, and it was as bare bones as you can't see this blank piece of paper in front of me, but essentially might have been similar to what we got. Mm-hmm. And then this thought just came man, we could do this and do it better. So we kicked around names, all that good stuff, and then eventually Above and Beyond, because okay, well, we can really provide that above and beyond service for, our seniors and our clientele.
Yeah. What about if you look at other entrepreneurs? I feel like COVID was a breeding ground for a lot of great things. Obviously bad, but great things. I've heard the entrepreneurship kind of bug that caught everybody. What advice, looking back now, starting on it, what advice would you give yourself starting over? If there was anything you could go back and say, something to yourself, what would you say?
I just probably want to start sooner, at least, because we did a very slow kind of getting the LLC and things like that. And it was very kind of meticulous and thought out. It wasn't all just at once. Mm-hmm. So, and I think my impression initially was you go all out at once, and now realizing that okay, you can take your time and you can go through your processes and things like that. I think I just would have started sooner. Yeah. I do. Yeah.
That's great. If that's the advice you give to yourself, that's fantastic.
Yeah, you got to start. It's half of it is just showing up, right, and then walking through the door. So. Yeah.
Well, wouldn't it just be then fear, the fear of the check, you're losing your steady income, right? Fear of what if this doesn't work out?
Right. Yeah, and there's definitely always there. I don't think that is going to go away. I don't know. I would hope it does one day, I guess. But at the end of the day, you're kind of got to do what you got to do, and just keep plugging away, no matter kind of what obstacles come your way. So.
Yeah. I want you to take the listeners for a quick little journey and tell them about Above and Beyond Senior Living. What is the mission statement? What are you guys really aiming to address in the industry?
Yeah. So mission statement is through professionalism and experience, we help guide the way. Something I came up with. And essentially what we do is we help seniors and their families find homes in senior living communities. So your assisted livings, your memory cares, your nursing homes, your independent livings even, skilled nursing, all that good stuff. And that's at no cost to them. So essentially when somebody gets in touch with us and starts our services, we kind of meet with them, similar to how we're doing, sit down face to face, and I kind of figure out what are your needs, what's your income, what can you support to live comfortably every month, what are you looking for, do you need transportation, do you have like an acute medical need that needs to be addressed on a constant basis, or are you just looking for companionship? I mean, a lot of people, especially in the independent living, spouses have passed away, things like that. They want companionship. They've been staring at a TV for years, and we all know, that's not quality of life. So, I mean, essentially figuring out what you're looking for, what you can support, and maintain for ever, ideally, and not have to move you a bunch of times. And, kind of your location, all that good stuff. A lot of people, come out of the mountains because there's just not a lot of resources there, and they'll come to the city for us. So, it just really depends. I mean, we meet our people where they are at, and we don't particularly push one thing or the other. We kind of just see what's best for you as the individual, your family, and then again, it's no cost. We actually get paid once we refer to the community, like we were talking about Golden Lodge earlier, and having a client going there. So Golden Lodge would actually be cutting that check to above and beyond for that placement. It's essentially how that model works. But in addition to that, myself and Michelle are dementia certified trainers. And basically what that means is there's a national dementia certification that you can do. It's about a 6 to 8 hour course, depending on like Q&A and things like that. And it's nationally recognized. So we can actually teach that class and certify people in dementia cert. So that's just kind of another area that we folded into the placement business.
Nice. I want to take a quick second and shout out one of our new sponsors, and we'll get right back to it. Hate Fitness fans, ever dream of the chalky taste of your usual creatine supplement? Let me introduce you to something revolutionary. Swoley Creatine Gummies. Yeah, you heard that right, gummies. These aren't just delicious. They pack all the punch you need to boost your workout without any of the hassle. Imagine looking forward to your creatine boost with flavors that make you feel like you're cheating on your diet in a good way. Swoley Gummies are third-party tested for quality you can trust, and they're incredibly convenient. Just pop a few and you're good to go. No mixing, no mess. And because you guys are part of our podcast family, I got a sweet deal for you. Head over to getswoley.com and use code HOHW to get 20% off your first order. Treat yourself to a tastier way to stay fit with Swoley Creatine Gummies. Your muscles will thank you for it. And we're back to live action.
I've been loving those Swoley gummies, though.
I've been loving this one. You do creatine?
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds a lot better than like what I do, which is just the traditional scoop into the, Oh, yeah.
Well, there we go.
Yes,
there's your Swoley gummies. Okay. And they taste amazing.
Nice. Okay.
We'll hook you up on your way out.
Sweet. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Can you touch one more time? I'm interested in the dementia certified trainer. What do people, because Tripp and I, and he is amazing with work. His mom has dementia. He's actually taking care of her, and a lot of our classes we have some of the residents with dementia. What is there something? Obviously you probably learned a ton from that course. What's the biggest thing you took out of it? What should people look for who are maybe interested in becoming dementia certified?
Yeah, I mean it's a struggle, especially when you're like dealing with it on a personal level. Absolutely. I mean, I've dealt with it on a personal level myself, and remembering that it's a disease and not necessarily that person can be difficult. But I would say the main thing is to meet that person where they're at. So, if somebody's looking for their husband, you're not going to say, hey, Paul died 30 years ago or whatever. You're going to meet them in that moment and just live with them in that moment. I mean, it's going to pass, right? This too shall pass. Everything does, especially with dementia patients. And just meeting them where they're at. And, and redirecting is a big word, so you can have that conversation, about dad and kind of, what did he do for a living? Oh, he worked at, Ford. Oh, did you see the new Ford Mustang? Whatever. Yeah. And then you kind of just help to break that cycle because, I mean, once they get in that cycle, they kind of, just stuck on it and precipitate that just over and over. When's my mom coming to pick me up? When's my husband coming? And if you could kind of meet them there and then redirect from that point, I mean, you're golden. You know,
Yeah.
you're golden. People with dementia love sweets. That's the one of the last taste buds that leaves your body is the taste for sweets. So, you know, any kind of like ice cream or yogurt or whatever, you know, kind of sweet products, they would love that.
Can you shout out any communities or collaborators that you've worked with who've either made the process super easy for you, or a community whom you work with closely, or someone you really like the way they do things?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we work with all kinds of communities, so I'll be careful not to like totally pick one.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
Yeah.
because they do all have their pros and their cons. I will say for memory care, I have noticed Juniper Villages. They're kind of a bigger guy, but their model is very cool. It's more of a village than a community. So they have like your post office. They have like your general mart, your whatever, your movie theater, things like that. But it's set up like a village, you know, that's why they call it Juniper Village. So that's always been a unique model, interesting model in my mind, for sure. Golden Lodge, we've talked about them a few times.
Sure.
They're really good. Their team over there right now is really good. Yeah, and I mean, there's big players out there. Your Brookdales are everywhere, Morning Stars. And, you know, I used to, working for a smaller nonprofit company, I'd look at them and be like, oh, man, you know, it's Brookdale. And there's always survival stories for Brookdale. But, I mean, they're doing something right? I mean, they've expanded nationally, so they're doing something right.
Yeah. Yeah.
One question too. We had a shout out to Eric Korb, came on a few weeks ago, and
What's up, Eric?
hey Eric. So he has the process of sales and marketing for them, right? When a loved one is trying to choose a community, those things can be extremely overwhelming, right? This whole process of learning like how to pay for it, and then what does those kind of things look like. So. I love it that your process is free to them, right up front.
Yep.
What are some of these like consults that you have? What are some like questions you go through to like just to ease this process along?
Yeah. So if there's a home to be sold, would be a good one, you know, to help kind of finance that. If there's any VA benefits, if you know, even if the spouse served during an active war, that you know that wife would be eligible for VA, and they help kind of foot the bill to some extent. Any kind of grant programs, things like that, kind of. You know, we really want to drill down on how we're going to afford this in the long run. And a lot of people, they go to what's called a spin down community now, and there's not as many as there probably should be, but there are quite a few here in Colorado. And essentially, you give them the commitment of some are 2 years, some are a year, some are 6 months. Kind of depends, and census can affect that also. But you give them that upfront commitment, and then at that time when all of your money is spent down, then you can step onto the government assistance programs like Medicaid, or in Colorado we have PACE InnovAge, which is kind of a supplemental Medicaid program. So yeah, I mean, we just kind of help guide them there, and then provide those resources for them. You know, if you need that VA aid and attendance, if you need that home cell, as we get towards the end, you know, if you need moved, if you need, packed up, whatever you need. So we really kind of have just a network of different providers and different aspects of senior living. And, we can always pass along, and we have and continue to pass along to our partners, often, very often. It's expensive. It's very expensive.
And you're not picking one community for somebody. It's you're looking at the individual.
Correct.
And looking at what may work best for them.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, so there's 2 papers we get signed. One is a HIPAA. So that's just your protected health information. Essentially why we get that signed is because once we decide on a community, they need certain things. They need your doctor's paperwork signed by the doctor. They need, in Colorado, we have the MOST form, which is like your advanced directives. They need a certain amount of things. That HIPAA form allows us to go and get those for you and then distribute that to the community. Second thing we get is just it's a disclosure that we don't work for any of these communities.
Gotcha.
So we get that sign just alerting you, hey, I don't work for Brookdale.
Yeah.
I might refer you to Brookdale. We might go to Brookdale. It might be wonderful and great.
Yeah.
But it's not, I don't work there. So those are the 2 forms that we get signed.
Gotcha. What's next heading for you guys? I know it's not just you. Is there 3 co-owners? Okay. What's next for you guys as you kind of grow as a company and find success as you have? What are you guys looking to do? An expansion, or how's that going to look for you in a few years down the road?
Yeah, expansion would be great. Taking on more agents, kind of expanding out, maybe possibly even to other states. In terms of getting there, like we've talked about, just kind of exposure and possibly doing a similar platform as this, for our company. Yeah, and just, really the thing is with the business is there was not a whole lot of upfront kind of costs. And if somebody were to step into it now at this point that it's established, it would be a nominal fee to step in at that point. So, kind of expanding, like I said, as much as I love Colorado and I'm a native, my fiance and I talk about leaving because it has changed quite a bit in these 10 years. So ideally, build something where it can remain here and then we take off to somewhere else with mountains.
Somewhere else. Where else?
Yeah,
Smoky
where else?
Mountains, maybe.
Yeah.
Appalachia? Well, maybe not Appalachia.
Just out in the sticks there.
Go ahead, Tripp. Sorry. I didn't...
No, I wasn't going to say anything. Well, actually, so you're dropping. You might be having a podcast for your guys yourself.
That's
something
exciting.
like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's amazing. So you're telling a little bit about the premise before the podcast. Can you kind of give your ideas? Because it was a cool idea about this new podcast.
Yeah, essentially highlighting the kind of healthcare people, maybe doing an alternating kind of thing of, let's take an administrator, for example, of a community, having them on one time, and then another business leader in the community, that sort of thing. One thing I have started already, and it's kind of building a little traction, is kind of a masterminds course. So it's just once a month on Zoom. We just kind of get together. It's all business owners in Colorado, and there'll just be a specific topic. So like we just talked about SEO, because I know that's always kind of a big one.
Yeah.
And it's just it's very small, 10 people, and I want to keep it that way. And it's just, hey, what worked for you? What didn't work for you? One guy we had on there, he paid a firm $70,000 last year. His return was $3,000. So, learning things like that.
So I got to start a firm then.
Yeah.
Why am I in healthcare?
Yeah.
That happens with the hopes of marketing too. Like you put out all this money, and we did it with this business where we thought, hey, let's throw a bunch of money at marketing at first, and we did it, and immediately pulled the plug. But no, we're not spending. We could spend this money so many better places.
Absolutely, it's hard, especially at first. You don't have that money to just shell out for hopes and dreams. You need something. So. We still will advertise on Facebook every now and again. We'll advertise on Nextdoor. I think you do still have to have that component. It's just, doing it wisely for sure.
So what is it for you guys then to take that next step? Is it just time? You guys just need time to develop what you're doing, or are there specific hurdles that you need to address and get over in order to find that next level of expansion?
Yeah, there's certainly areas of improvement always, with everything. And I think for us, it's been a lot of networking lately. And because you try to go to these places and it happened to me when I was an administrator, somebody would show up at my door and be like, hey, can I talk to you about my company? We're the best. And you're like, no time for you. So and initially when we started this, that was like the mindset of like, okay, well, I guess this is what we got to do. So we're beating down the door and we're getting nowhere. And kind of pivoted now to LinkedIn has been really good. And just marketing, getting the name out there. Luckily for us, we were established in the senior living realm prior to starting this company. So once we did start this company, we were kind of met with people that already knew us and were excited to kind of work with us on this new venture. So that was definitely a good plus in our in our area. But it's just finding those clients, and getting that outreach out there. In our sphere, everybody knows what a placement agent is and does. And then you step outside of that and nobody knows. So, general public awareness and just trying to go to different community geared events rather than healthcare specific events because we know all those people, really. So
Yeah. What kind of events were you referencing then, if they weren't just healthcare?
so like last year we did Thornton Fest. So it's just like a little get together there in Thornton. I know Douglas County is getting ready to have one that we'll be at, and just little things like that. Adams County Fairground. Like I said, my other two partners, they live up north. So Adams County, Thornton, that's like right in their backyard. So
Yeah.
different kind of things like that, trade shows, and I'm not opposed to slapping a flyer up on a community bulletin board every now and
There you
again. Yeah.
You're talking to the flyer master over here.
You got to get the brand out there.
We do. I mean, that's the thing, right?
We have this one we have this one voicemail that I wish I don't have it queued up, and I'm not going to take the time to play it. But next podcast, you listeners, join in. I'll play it for you. It's after a round of our flyers. We flyered all over. And it's like, excuse me, you left your flyer in private property. Please don't ever do it again. I was like, but sometimes, though, to start a business, you can't feel bad. Like you're out there. You're trying to make it happen. You're making moves. You're talking to people. I've seen Tripp pull out boxing gloves at, like, a lunch place, and there's, like, an old lady hitting boxing gloves. I mean, when you're passionate, right, and you're passionate about what you do, you live it, And
it's not, it's yours, right? So it's not like, I'm going to clock in today and I'm going to make money and go home regardless. It's like, we need to be out there really pounding the pavement. And I mean, I struggle a little bit with like, am I being too obnoxious? I try not to be obnoxious, like email blasts, for instance, like this is going on an email blast. So, it is what it is at that point. But,
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I hate that of like Domino's will spam me like every day, and it's like, I love your pizza, but I'm not trying to eat it, 1,000 times a day. So that's been a balance for me. It's like I want to hit it. And I guess I would save that voicemail and think it's funny too, but I guess limit those kind of, interactions.
Yeah.
I did have one, I posted on Nextdoor, some blog post about like myths about staying home or something like that. And I mean, like I said, I live in Golden. I got a response from Aurora, all these people like, oh, this is, XYZ and all that. And I'm like, what the hell? I just, just did a blog post. So,
you never know. People just go crazy over the weirdest things.
Can
They
senior
do.
places, like, let's say, like, can a community call you? Like, let's say they love what you're doing and you're crushing it. Can they just reach out to you and be like, hey, we want to, how can we work with you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll work with anybody, really, essentially. So actually, again, I hate to, like, not sponsored here, Golden Lodge, but, I'm talking with them about doing their garden, even like just random things like that. So, I love to do that and I don't have the space to do it. So, Heather kind of brought that up. I'm like,
Shout out.
Shout out Heather.
Great shout. I just want to say this episode has been the best shout out episode ever. I love it. Yeah, we talk with Heather too. And she's you are right. She is fantastic over there. Shout out to all the people who put that energy in, and she definitely does.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Her and JJ over there.
Yeah.
The nurse. So, it's
the
great
whole
too.
staff over there is just legit.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you guys for joining us. Cory, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I want you guys to be able to find Cory's, not only his company, but more information. And, if you got a parent, a loved one, or if you have been yourself considering Above and Beyond Senior Living, you can just go right on their website. Is it Above and Beyond? What's the website?
AboveandBeyondSeniorLiving.com. Yep.
Right, simple.
We'll put that in the copy too.
So we'll put it. You'll see it if you're listening to this. It'll be in the copy. You'll see it, and then there's a bunch of information on that website. I think you can probably request like a consultation.
Mm-hmm. Can get a hold of us and learn more about us and all that good stuff.
Yep, it's orange, and then there's a bunch of like free stuff, information, and all that stuff. So, please get on there, and then if you have any questions, pop on. Once again, thanks, man. Thanks for taking your time out of your day.
Hey, thank you.
This has been great. Yeah.
No, and just as a last remark, again, thank you so much, and it's amazing for me to be here doing this, and I think this is great, and just goes to speak to just keep on keeping on, right? Give the old Joe dirt.
Joe Dirte.
Joe Dirte. Try and church it up. And consistent actions will lead to results. So Thank you, guys.
Do you hear that? Go out and get it today. Go make it happen. Don't be afraid. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you on the next episode. See you later.
Bye.